Go. What's up, everybody? We are back for yet another episode of Frenemies, joined as always by David Swor. I am DJ Cox. We are joined for the second time, so that must mean we really liked him for the first time, by Mitch Norman. Mitch, welcome back, buddy.
Boy, Mitch.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys.
All right, before we get rolling here, Mitch, I got something for you, man. We gotta bring this in. You gotta talk about this for 20 seconds.
Yes.
Give me some love.
Man, hey, listen. No matter where you live in the country, you need a little bit of Alabama white sauce. The Alabama white sauce has been a tradition in the great state of Alabama for a long time, and now it can be yours. Go online, go to Facebook, type in the white sauce. It's a mayonnaise-based barbecue sauce, but as you can see on the cover, it's good on everything. Support Coach Hall and pick up the white sauce.
Beautiful.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
All right, this is our second sponsor of the night. This is Equate. This is headache relief. I've probably ate this whole bottle after watching the Cubs this week. They are getting a sponsor right here. Equate headache relief. Thank you for getting me through this week.
Okay. So I have a question here for DJ. I'm sorry to interject, but I wasn't even thinking about here's where I am. Okay, so your wife's a Sox fan, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay, did you feel bad for her because her team lost? Were you like
oh man, no.
Or were you just like loving it? Were you like, yeah, she went down? How did that work? How did that go in your house?
Let me cut DJ off. I just want to say this. DJ hates the White Sox so bad. Not only would he throw his wife and kids under the bus, but like Jose Abreu, who is easily the MVP, it's not even close. DJ wouldn't even acknowledge him the last episode. He wouldn't even acknowledge him. It's ridiculous. It's like they don't exist.
Man, okay, I just wanted to know what it was like in the house because I know sometimes my wife, there's some teams she really loves, and I almost feel bad they lost because, to see her like upset about it. And I just was wondering, but, DJ had his own misery he was dealing with, and I just didn't know what that was like.
So, yeah, I mean, here's the thing. Like, I'm not going to get all up in her face and rub it in. I'm not that dumb. Like, I like sleeping in my bed and everything, so I'm not going to be that stupid about it. But there's a certain point where you're just like, okay, it's good. And then, Lindsay, then when the Cubs got eliminated, of course, she just was yakking at me the whole time. And was in the other room going, you're playing with fire. And I'm just like, trying to keep it calm, but you know what? Our season lasted one day longer than the White Sox did, and I'm going to live by that this offseason.
No, it did not.
We had that rain delay, baby. Yep.
DJ is the king of moral victories, supposedly. Their series started a day later, and there was a rain out in between, and so in his mind, it lasted a day longer.
Yep.
When in fact, it was a game shorter.
Oh,
we were one day closer to the World Series than they were, David. All right, David.
Fantasy land.
So before we start again, I got to ask you a quick question. Give me a 5-second answer. Are either of you watching the NBA Finals?
Are they?
No,
I don't even know who's in it, man.
Nope. DJ, at this point in my life, I'm more likely to watch the hockey finals. I'm not even kidding. I could give a rip about the NBA.
It's awful, man. It's so bad. It's so bad. I haven't seen a single game since the shutdown, and
Nope.
I'm trying the finals. I am. I mean, I just because it's the finals, like I want LeBron to lose, but it's not going to happen. But I don't know why I'm wasting my time. Anyway, I just was wondering. All right, David, kick us off, buddy. Give us a Yankees week recap.
So, DJ, what did I say last week? The Yankees were going to easily beat the Indians.
No. Nope, Mitch. David picked his own team to lose. Let me just start with that.
Whoa.
Yeah.
So continue on, buddy. Go ahead.
I mean, I've said multiple times this year how much I love this team and how great a manager Aaron Boone is. And he just proved me right. So the Yankees started out in an epic playoff pitching matchup. But DJ, it was only epic on one side. 2-0. 2 batters into the game. Aaron Judge goes yard. And Brooks Robinson or Shella makes a ton of good plays. And all told, I think the Yankees hit like 5 home runs. Stanton hits a home run. Boone made a curious decision to start Brett Gardner. And, of course, what's he do? He hits a bomb. So just like I always say, Boone is a genius. And so anyway, long story short, 12-3 victory. Man, that's pretty awesome when you're getting to face the AL Cy Young winner, who was so awesome. I don't really know what happened, just to be honest. I had to listen to that game. Most of it didn't get to watch it, so I'm not really sure what happened. But hey, the Yankees are back. They got all their pieces, and Garrett Cole looked like an ace. Looked like what they paid for. 13 Ks in 7 innings. Couldn't ask for much better than that. Second game, a little bit different. So Tanaka started, was kind of shaky, but was doing pretty well. I mean, I was pretty happy with him. And then Boone goes to my boy Chad Green, who automatically gives up the runs and then strikes the next 3 guys out, of course. And so Tanaka's line doesn't look very good. Cleveland has him down, and Brooks Robinson or Shella does it again, man. Grand slam to tie the game. Then my boy Gary Sanchez, who didn't get a start in game 1 because he can't hit, and Higashioka catches Garrett Cole now, but he hits a home run to tie it. But DJ, the thing that I think is going to get the Yankees beat reared its head, and that is their bullpen. Their bullpen is a mess right now. Chapman saved them with 2 shutout innings at the end, but Chad Green looked terrible. Zach Britton looked terrible. They can't even pitch Ottavino right now. He's so bad. They brought in Loizaga. He immediately gives up a couple runs, and so it's just going to be interesting to see. Going into the season, I thought the bullpen was a real strength, but it's kind of been a problem, and I'm not sure how long it can carry them in the playoff if it has to. But hey, great week, 2-0. Shocked, honestly. Now we get a face-off against the Rays, kind of our arch nemesis. They've kind of taken the Red Sox place, and they're playing right now, as a matter of fact. Yankees are up, but we'll see what happens.
So, David, I got to ask you, man, were you as shocked as I was about them just lighting Bieber up? I mean, I know you kind of mentioned it a little bit, but I mean, we knew that was going to be one of the best matchups. So it was kind of like opening day, to be honest with you, where Scherzer and Garrett Cole went at it. It was like, oh, Bieber and Cole, this is great. There's a lot of fun in the first round, but I was looking forward to that one. And, man, it did not disappoint. But the Yankees destroyed him. That was his worst outing of the year. He wasn't even close to a bad outing like that. It's crazy in the playoffs how things change, man.
Absolutely crazy. Kind of disappointing, to be honest with you. I kind of wanted the pitching matchup, the 1-0, 2-1 game where one of the pitchers goes 8 or 9 innings, and I don't know what happened. The Yankees have been really cold going into that weekend. That's why, honestly, when we talked last week, I didn't give them much of a chance. They just were in one of those downward spirals that they went into all year, and so it really shocked me the way they handled the Indians. I thought the Indians were trouble for the Yankees big time, but the ghosts are back, DJ. The ghost of Derek Jeter and Mickey Mantle and all those guys, they're back. So I don't know. DJ, let's talk about Derek Jeter's team here for just a minute. Why don't you fill us in on what happened to your Cubs?
Oh, okay. So you're going to make me go down the sad road here now.
That's where the ghost of Jeter was right there.
That's right. Hey,
the Jeter factor.
In 1 year, they make the playoffs and win in the first round. And he got Don Mattingly, too. I just want to throw that out there. So I sent DJ a text in the middle of the first game that says, I call him Donnie Baseball. You can call him Daddy. What'd you think about that, DJ?
Yeah, it was. I was getting a lot of texts throughout these games. I'm not gonna lie to you. My trash talking kind of came full circle here and went right back in my face this week, and I deserved it because I gave a lot of people a bunch of crap. But no, man. I've had a few days to process this. The Cubs, exit stage left. I haven't really said too much, to be honest with you, about it. But I'll share my thoughts now. Wednesday's playoff game against the Marlins, a 5-1 loss. Ian Happ homered in the bottom of the fifth, put us up 1-0. And Ian Happ, of course, is the only guy that hit for us all year, it feels like, and Hayward a little bit. And everybody else, man, what a disappointment. Alcantara and Hendricks just dominated. Sandy Alcantara was the first time I got to see him pitch. He was really good. He was good as advertised. Marlins then go to score 5 runs in the 7th inning to win 5-1. Bryant was 0 for 4. Rizzo was 0 for 4. Hayward was 0 for 4. Caratini was 0 for 4, who DH'd over Bodie, who led our team in RBI and didn't play in game 1, which I still don't believe. You left your guy with the most RBI in your team out of the lineup for game 1. I don't believe it. But offense was simply pathetic. The wind was blowing out. I don't know if you guys saw that game. It was blowing out ridiculously. We still couldn't hit the ball out of the park. Top of the 7th, Hendricks gets birdie to ground out. Rojas singles. Then Chad Wallace, with 1 out, hits a ground ball to second that I thought for sure this is a double play off the bat. And they played Tim Wallach's boy up the middle for some reason. If Tim Wallach's boy is going to hit the ball up the middle, you need to tip your cap. I don't know why he was out of position. It would have been easy turn double play out of the inning. Instead, it turns into a single. Hendricks is at 105 pitches at that point. I'm yelling, get him out, get him out. Kid you not, that's what I was saying. I'm like, he's had enough. Try to get him to, out of there before something bad happens. He looked like he'd lost it. And then sure enough, Dickerson, 3-run homer. And that was it. It was enough for them because once that happened, you knew the Cubs weren't going to score anymore. Their offense was terrible. 7 offensive Ks that game, 14 men left on base, only 4 hits, 3 walks. Just terrible as far as their offense went. Thursday was a rainout day. I'm not kidding you guys. This is weird, man. And I know what happened now, but I kid you not, I'm sitting at work going, there's clouds everywhere. But it's like it's kind of raining and it's kind of not. It's in and out. It was weird, and I'm like, the game got canceled because I was about to sit and, watching on my phone as I was doing Zoom with the kids, because I'm that kind of teacher. So, but I'm looking outside going, I do not understand what's going on. Wrigley's just about 15, 20 miles north of us, and I'm like, are they getting a cloud we're not getting or something? And, but no, I think what happened, to be honest with you, is the Cubs were like, we don't want to get you up. And if he goes 2 innings, we have a little bit of a delay and he can't get back in, then we're in trouble. And so I think they strategically tried to use it to their advantage, to be honest with you. It was really weird. But they ended up calling the game, which it did not rain that much to call the game. I'll just tell you guys that right now. So it was definitely something up their sleeves. So anyway, we get to Friday. We lose 2-0. Season's over. Sixto Sanchez versus Yu Darvish. What a matchup. I was looking forward to that one, to be honest with you. Sixto pitched 5 shutout. He was good. He just got his pitch count too high. Top of the 7th, Yu gets 2 quick outs. Then the wheels fell off as Garrett Cooper homers. Then Magnarius Sierra. I mean, like we said before, who are these Marlins, man? This is everybody from their A-ball team to their professional team. I thought it was Ruben Sierra's kid, something. I didn't know who this guy was. But he singles to put him up 2-0. Our offense has 9 Ks on this day. We only had 5 hits and 2 walks. Just a terrible, terrible game. Very frustrating to watch your offense score 1 run in a 2-game series. It was pathetic. I almost felt as bad as the Reds fans did. I think we were going through the same thing. The Reds they just could not score. We just could not score. Offense was trash this year, David. I told you this on almost every podcast, every weekly update, that I was worried about the offense, and it ended up being their downfall. I'm not a genius for saying that. It just is what it is. I mean, when you've seen it coming, really, to be honest with you. Yu Darvish and Kyle Hendricks, I tell you, both of you guys, they were absolutely awesome. Hendricks is going to look like he gave up 3 runs, but he really didn't. Like, it was just a fluky thing. And you pitched awesome. Those two were your pitchers can only do so much for you. Like I said before, if you can't get them any runs, 4 runs at least, and they don't deserve to win the game, and they couldn't get 4 runs, so they didn't deserve it. I'm mad, David. I know we talked about this a lot too, but I'm also still a little upset about the Cardinals not playing those last 2 games on that Monday. because that would have changed the seeds, man. And I just don't think it's fair. I'm not saying that, had the Cubs had somebody else or something, they would have won because their offense was just terrible. But I'm still mad about that because it would have shifted everything. I don't care that the Cardinals had to play 2 games and then go into the playoffs. It's their fault for having to deal with all this stuff they had to deal with. They played a bunch of doubleheaders anyway. I think that was absolutely stupid of the league to do that. They should have played those 2 on Monday and differentiated the seeds. The Cubs hit 220 for the season, guys. That was tied with the Pirates. The Pirates, they tied the Pirates in batting average. Think about that for a second. The only teams they were ahead of are the Rangers and the Reds.
How is that possible? When you got Javi Baez and Chris Bryant and Rizzo, I mean, I just don't get it. Like, what happened?
So here's my 2 cents on the hitting in the MLB in general. And Ross said this too. He said we're gonna walk, and we're gonna live and die by the home run. We want to walk and hit the home run. That's what their offense does. Well, there's a problem with that because you're not gonna hit home runs on every occasion. That they're hard to come by, and so even if you hit a home run once every 10 at bats, your batting average is gonna be terrible because I'm telling you right now, the launch angle swing. These major leaguers can do it. Batting average is down all across the league, and this is the reason why. It's because everybody's trying to hit homers now. I love the home run just as much as everybody, but it's kind of ruining the game, to be honest with you, because if you're not hitting a home run, you're not scoring anymore in the majors, it seems like. And just look at the Yankees game right now. How many home runs have there been in this game? And it's like crazy, man. It's like everybody hits the home run for their runs now, and I don't like it only because, manufacturing runs, hitting doubles and singles, knocking guys in just doesn't happen anymore. You normally used to have like 3 or 4 guys that hit bombs. Now all of them can. But their batting averages are taking, a big hit because of it. Chris Bryant has the worst launch angle swing I've ever seen, and his hitting is completely off. He needs to get a new hitting coach, get away from his dad or whoever's working with him because he's been terrible the last 2 years. And if he doesn't fix it, I'm just going to be honest with you. He's going to find himself out of baseball in 3 or 4 more years if he continues on this path. And that's hard to say about a guy who might get a $200 million contract. But he's been brutal. And he was absolutely terrible this year. And a lot of what happened falls on him. And, shame on him for not correcting it and figuring it out, man, because he was just completely off. And he kept the same swing for some reason. It didn't work. And, he just kept going with it, which was really weird. So that's my opinion on it. I don't know. It's kind of crazy, but just real quick, the off season, just because my team's done and you guys are going to be able to talk about yours for weeks ahead. So the off season, real quick, John Lester has a $25 million option for next year. No way. Give me $25 million to go spend, please. Q is a free agent. That frees up $10 more million. Chatwood's free at $13 million. Rizzo has a $16 million option. Obviously, you keep Rizzo. Tyler Andrew Chafin is free at $3 million. Daniel Descalso, $3.5 million option. No way. I didn't even see him this year, not even the dugout cheering. Didn't play in 1 game. I don't even know why he's on the roster. Cameron Maybin's a free agent at $1.5 million. Kipnis is a $1 million free agent. Josh Fagley and Billy Hamilton also at $1 million. So there's some money coming off the books. They've got some money to spend. They've obviously got to get a couple more pitchers, but they also need to do something with this offense. Going to be hard to see, interesting to see what they do with the trades because they're not going to be able to get too much for these guys the way they hit this year is a problem. So I'm not too sure what the value is of a guy who hits 190 on the season, with Schwarber and Bryant did. So who wants to give up their top prospects to get guys that hit 190? I know I wouldn't want to do it. So their value has decreased. They put the Cubs in a very hard spot as far as their offseason goes coming up. So it's going to be interesting, man. It's disappointing. This team – won the Central, ended up, if you look at it from the perspective of the NL Central, had the most playoff teams out of any division in baseball. So, they won that division that had 4 teams that made the playoffs. So that's pretty impressive from that perspective, but just didn't happen in the playoffs, man. And it ended up being the offense that kicked them. So it was frustrating, man. When you sit and watch 18 innings of baseball and you score 1 run and your pitching's that dominant, that's about as frustrating as it can get. So, yeah, that's a tough one.
Yeah, what's crazy is all 4 of those Central teams that you talk about, they all got eliminated too. That's kind of crazy.
Yep.
Man.
All 4 are gone. You're right. That's a good point. I mean, everybody was happy to meet up with an NL Central team because they got a win out of it. So transitioning now, because I'm already going to have to take more of these now that I talked about it. So let's go back to Mitch. Mitch, talk about this Braves series, man. Let's talk about that. It was a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, it was a good series. It was a nail biter because man, it was just, I mean, the games were so tight. So if you watch the Braves any this year, you know, they do not have great pitching, great starting pitching. They have a good bullpen, and Fried and Anderson are their horses right now. And man, they were just that in the 2 playoff games. They were amazing. They came out and did everything that, as a fan, you hope they do. Man, that first game was just nuts. It was 13 innings, I think. I think there were 37 Ks in it. Nobody could hit. It was just insanity, And it was swinging.
Launch angle.
Of course, yeah, the launch angle swing. Yeah, it's just, man, it was crazy. But Fried and Anderson did everything you wanted them to do, and of course, the unique call by David Bell there in the 13th to pitch to Freddie, and not only pitch to Freddie, but pitch to Freddie with only 2 outfielders. I think he went with, I guess, 6 infielders and 2 outfielders, and that was just – it just didn't seem like a good recipe. Marcell Ozuna had just been ugly at the plate all day, but he picked his poison with Freddie, and that was a spot where I'm sitting there watching that on TV. Like if we don't win this, we might as well just. If we don't win this right now, we might as well pack it up, because if Freddie can't deliver right here, something, then it's over. And of course, Freddie delivered. Freddie is one. If he's not the most underrated player in baseball, he's one of them. I love that guy. He's everything you want your star to be. So he delivers with a base hit, not a home run, just a solid line drive. Brings the winning run in. It was awesome. The next day, Acuna is just our man. I mean, the guy does not know the difference between a spring training game or a regular season game in July or a playoff game. Like, he just comes, brings the stick every day. I think I kind of gather that some people don't like his attitude. I'm a Braves fan, so I don't see it that way. I just see him as a really fun guy. He just has a lot of spunk, and he's just a lot of fun. And I don't know how he gets the bat speed he gets, but when he hits balls, they just jump off his bat. He's the only guy that seems to hit, like, he just doesn't seem to be intimidated by anybody. And I love that. I love watching him hit. And he was our guy, man. And, who, of course, he scores the run to put us ahead on in game 2. And then, and just Ozuna, I'm just sitting there. It's the 9th inning or bottom of the 8th. And I'm like, man, Ozuna, just hit the ball just so we can remember what you do, man. Just hit the ball so we can just know that you still got it. And guys, he swung the most angry swing I've seen all year, dude. And it was just a no-doubter, man. I mean, he just it was just beautiful, dude. And honestly, we didn't need the run to win the game, but we needed him to hit like that to that confidence going into play in the Marlins, that we need the 14 bombs through 60 game Marcell Ozuna. That's what we need. And so man, that was beautiful to see. Duvall, who came over from the Reds, I think that was sweet for him to get that bomb against the Reds too. So, man, it was there. You saw, like, okay, this is what Braves baseball is right now. We hit the ball, and if we get good pitching, we're like thankful for it, but we hit the ball. And so they did that. It was an awesome the way we wanted to win too. We don't have a lot of depth at starting pitching, so to win in 2, that was perfect. Acuna was out there being Acuna. But the story really is Fried and Anderson, man. They did everything they needed to do to get us the win. We brought a really unique playoff roster. We had guys like Pablo Sandoval on the playoff roster. I don't know if y'all saw that. Did y'all see that?
Yeah. What's the story on that one?
I think it was the left-handed bat. Okay, so this is like deep down Braves knowledge. I don't know if anybody cares about, but like, I think they don't trust Ender Inciarde's left-handed bat, and they chose Pablo Sandoval over Ender Inciarte. I mean, that's that's saying something, and they can't do that this time because they need more pitchers, for this series. But they had Charlie Culberson up, and Charlie hadn't played with the big league team in a few weeks, so it was a unique roster, man. So it'll be kind of interesting to see what they do.
Christian Pache was up too. The young
Yeah.
rookie prospect was on the roster for this too, and he only played one game all year. And then they took him back down, and they brought him back up for the playoffs. So it was kind of like Pablo and Christian and
but it was all about speed, and he is like a just amazing defensive player. And so they actually put him in a game somewhere in right field. They put him in to kind of close it down in right field, and it was about having that speed and defense. And that tells you what they think about Inciarte, that they would rather have Christian Pache than Inciarte, who's fast and also a great defender, but they choose Pache, and it's like, man, that's so telling. But regardless, that's small things. That they won the series, and that was a huge deal. As a monkey off the back for the Braves. They have not won a playoff series since 2001, and they go up against the Marlins now, who have not ever lost a playoff series. And that's a crazy thought, but they are perfect in the playoffs. So that's going to be a great – and now here's the cool thing about the Marlins. Now, I actually kind of like the Marlins. I hope they die this week. But I actually kind of like the way they play. There are a lot of no-names that you never heard of. You couldn't – you couldn't name 6 guys on the roster. But they play small ball. They beat you like old school teams beat you. They have pretty solid pitching. They move runners over. They steal bases. They do all the things that you're taught to do when you play the game. And so they really set up to be a good playoff team because, hustle and, moving runners over and that type of baseball does not typically have a day off. Home runs, just like the Braves proved it, like one of the best hitting teams in the league, and they can't touch the ball, in game 1 and really in game 2. They scored when the game was, the Reds had 3 outs to hit. So anyways, that's going to be a great series. The Marlins are going to be a lot of fun to watch in the future for y'all, not for me because I don't want them to beat my Braves, but it's going to be a good series, I think.
So I got to ask you guys a question. First of all, Mitch, this isn't the question, but you just described Derek Jeter, man. Everything you just said about the Marlins, that's Derek Jeter. I'm just going to throw that in there.
Maybe. I'm telling you, man, the Jeter ghost came out, dude. Or the Jeter fact. I think it was called the Jeter factor, because – but, people were like – when he traded Giancarlo Stanton, people were furious, and now Giancarlo Stanton's not really playing, and – the Marlins are in the playoff. I mean, they're in the divisional series, so that's pretty cool, actually.
It was still a really bad trade, and the Yelich trade might have been even worse. They really didn't get anything for those guys. And Ozuna, think about that. They had Ozuna, Yelich, and Stanton all on the same team.
Dude, that's what's insane is that in Realmuto too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's that. Okay, you have, and what's so bad is. I don't know what he did this year, but Christian Yelich might be the best player out of those 3. I mean,
he was last year.
Dude, you're just like, man, that's a really – and they weren't making a ton of money at the time. I don't know what they're making now. That was weird, man. It was good for – like I said, a Braves fan looks at that and says, that works for us, because you split up a really good nucleus because all 3 of those guys – bring it, man. 4 because Realmuto, man, don't want to count him out. That guy is a great ball player.
Yeah. So here's my question. Did Trevor Bauer cement his NL Cy Young candidacy with that start?
Okay.
Probably.
Aren't the votes already in, though?
I don't know. Are they? Did they already vote? They already voted it?
Yeah.
He's the guy. He's the best pitcher in the league, man.
Man, listen. He really brought it. I mean, he didn't just bring it. He also set the tone for the Reds. I don't think the Reds are as good as they played, that series. And I think he really set the tone and even he's kind of a weird guy, but that attitude, that spunk that he brought, that grit he brought to the team in that game 1 start, I think that really made them a better team as a whole. So even if whether he wins a Cy Young or not, I think he probably deserves it after that, even though they may have already voted. But man, he really, I think he set the tone for that team, and he was really the one who even gave him a shot to win because and the next day, is that gosh, I want to call him Luis Castillo, but I think that's the second baseman for the Marlins. Is that okay? Yeah, that guy was also, he was just nasty too.
That's legit, man.
But man, I mean, yeah, like I don't want to see him again. I'll say that. I mean, that was that's a good all around team, and it took the Braves basically squeaked by them. Really, I mean, that's without Ronald Acuna, I don't know that we win that game.
So yeah, I mean, like you said, David, the pitching and Mitch, the pitching of the Reds this year was phenomenal. That batting average that was the worst in MLB, the 30th ranked average at 212 is what got him. And when you look at this lineup on paper, I don't know how that happened. A lot of people in Cincinnati want David Bell's head now. I think he might have saved his job by making the playoffs. I'm not sure, but he did not impress me at all in those playoffs. I cannot believe he didn't walk Freddie Freeman. That ended up costing them the series, in my opinion. It was stupid. The Reds had many opportunities to win that game where they had guys on third with one out and couldn't get them in. That's got to be frustrating, too, for Reds fans. Tough series with them, no doubt. That was a really fun one to watch. So, Mitch, for those of you who are tuning in, Mitch was a teammate of David and I's at Tennessee Temple, and we had a lot of good times at Temple, man. So Mitch has got some stories for us here. I love story time. We're always into this. So give us a story. We all played for Coach Hall. We love him to death, and he did a lot of good things for us. So go for it, buddy.
Yeah, well, you guys asked me about my favorite Coach Hall or my favorite baseball story, and it's absolutely a Coach Hall story. So somewhere along the way, and I believe this is after you guys had graduated, we decided to take a spring break trip to Miami. So, Tennessee Temple University, distinctively Christian on the side of the bus, and we're going to Miami to play baseball for a week. So, and I got to say, this is really about 3 stories. I just have to kind of set it up. So basically, I get on the bus, and I'm from the middle of nowhere. And most of the guys that we played with, we're all from small towns, most of us. I mean, very few of us are from big cities. And I get on the bus, and I had this movie, and I'm like, hey, the bus had a screen, and hey, can we watch a movie? Yeah, I guess so. And the movie's basically rated G. It's maybe PG because maybe have 2 bad words in it, and it's called Pure Country, and George Strait would not kiss the actress in the movie because that wasn't his wife. Like, it's like the most chill movie ever. Well, we're like watching it in the bus, like the million-hour trip to Miami, and all of a sudden it just stops. Oh, maybe something's wrong. So I go to the front, like, hey, coach, is something wrong with the DVD player? And Miss Hall says, hey, we're not watching that filthy movie because the manager was in a scandalous dress, she said. The George Strait's manager in the movie had a low-cut dress on, and we're not going to watch that stuff in this bus. Okay. All right. So I took my movie, went back, sat down. So about 2:00 in the morning, we roll into Miami. Now, listen, we're all small-town kids. We're just kids who love to play baseball, And when we roll into to Miami at 2:00 in the morning, it's busier than Chattanooga at 5:00 in the afternoon. Okay. And here we are, man, in our little distinctively Christian bus, coming into town, and there was a festival going on outside, or they had just dismissed from, down there in Miami. Here we come rolling through like downtown Miami in our Christian bus, and all of us are just like glued to the window. Like, we've never seen anything like this. I mean, there's people out in the street, and I mean, it's clear that they were celebrating something. I don't know, I don't know. So coach is looking out the window. We're all looking out the window, and he just goes, guys, we have just pulled up to Sodom and Gomorrah. So on the bus trip where we couldn't watch Pure Country, we pull into Miami, and there's a certain lifestyle celebration festival going on, and we're all just like glued to the window, and he's like, guys. So then the next day, so we stayed at this hotel. Well, the next day, we're like, hey, we're gonna go to the beach. You know, we're all like, you know how baseball players are. We're like farmers tan. You know, I mean, whatever. So man, the coach went out to the beach.
It's like David.
Yeah, I mean, baseball players, it's almost like a pride thing. I mean, yeah, we have our farmers tan because we wear a jersey every day. Man, we're walking out there, us, you know, once again, small town kids, most of us, with our farmer's tan, walking out to the beach. And man, Coach Hall and Miss Hall, they're like running back. And they're like, you know, guys, go back to the hotel. It's a topless beach. and so, you know, we went to Miami and we had to drive for like an hour to go find a place for us to go see the water, you know, because we couldn't, the beaches weren't trustworthy up there for, you know, it was awesome. And that was just one moment, but I'll never forget, you know, like we couldn't watch Pure Country and we pull in and he's like, guys, we have just pulled up to Sodom and Gomorrah. And I just,
well, Coach Hall, if you're watching this, what makes this so bad? This sounds like the spring break trip from 3 years earlier.
Sure does.
And the year after my freshman, so in my sophomore year, DJ, I don't know if you remember, we went to Clearwater. It was either sophomore or junior year.
Oh, yeah.
And it wasn't quite Sodom and Gomorrah, but I do remember, I don't know if you remember this, DJ, Billy Garrick, New Yorker Billy Garrick got roasted.
Oh. Yeah,
like a tomato, but that didn't stop him. I remember laying out on the beach there. Billy looks like a tomato, and this real pretty girl comes right beside us and throws her towel down. And of course, we're all sitting there with Coach. It's real awkward, you know. She's pretty scantily clad, and Billy hops up and says, "I'm going to go witness to that girl." And I thought, is he serious? Or is he going to go hit on her? And sure enough. Billy walked right over there. She's laid out on that towel, you know, basically wearing nothing. And he went and asked her if she knew Jesus as her Savior. I'm not exaggerating at all. I had to give Billy props, man. He was out there witnessing. He might have been looking for a wife at the same time. I'm not sure.
Yeah, but, that's missionary dating right there.
And he looked, yeah. And Billy was the worst. It was the worst sunburn I've ever seen in my life.
He's not lying about that, man. I thought we were going to take him to the hospital for sun poisoning. It was that bad. He was just a pure white boy, man. And he was on fire.
That's awesome, man.
Coach broke us into some culture that, I mean, who would have thought it, right?
Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah, we went and played in Alabama one year, and sort of the same thing. So a group of us, and Ben Foster was there, and we went to Pensacola. We played in Alabama for a few days, and then me and another guy, we had our cars, and we just loaded our cars up, and we went to Pensacola, and all of us got roasted. And we like drove back to school in my little 2-door Cavalier, you know, with like 5 guys in it, you know. We're just roasted, man. We're just roasted. It was just
David got roasted a ton too, man. You fried pretty bad yourself there, buddy.
That year I didn't get burnt for some reason. I didn't put any sunscreen on, just like Billy didn't, and somehow I didn't get roasted. But yeah, I roast pretty bad.
No doubt. You could fry too, and I did too. But I think David and Billy took the worst of it, man. No doubt, there's for sure. All right, guys. So we'll transition here. So. We had another rough week as far as losing some legends here. So, Mitch, if you could chime in here on the death of Bob Gibson, Hall of Famer. This is a tough week. You know, we just lost Lou Brock in Cardinal Nation, and now we just lost Bob Gibson. Give us your little spiel on Bob here for a minute.
Yeah, man. Well, you know, I've known Bob Gibson's name for my whole life, you know, but really looking into him, you know, over the past few days, I love the pictures of ball players in the 60s and 70s, man. Like, to me, that is like, I just feel like the game is so pure, you know what I mean? But then again, like, you see pictures of guys like back in the pre, like in 50s and 40s and stuff. I don't recognize that game because they're wearing baggy uniforms. It's not what I recognize. But, man, when you look up a guy like Bob Gibson, man, you see him throwing on the mound, man, that is, to me, that is pure baseball. I mean, the baseball uniforms are very much like what I think of a baseball uniform should look like. And the players look like what I think players should look like. And it's just a very pure part of the game. You see Bob Gibson's throwing motion, you can tell he's really slinging it. Like I would have loved to, and I need to go find it on the internet somewhere, but I'd love to watch him pitch because you can tell he's just slinging it. And, man, and just, so he's 3,000 strikeouts, 2.91 career ERA, 251 wins, 2 Cy Young Awards, 2 World Series championships, plays his whole career in St. Louis. Obviously Hall of Fame member, 84 years old. When I think of Bob Gibson, I just think of pure baseball. Like that is what baseball is about, just in its purest form almost, when I think about those guys. So yeah, man, I'm really glad you brought that up because I enjoy reading about him, but if I just looking at the pictures of the game at that time and the way he pitched, man, I love it, man. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So Bob Gibson.
DJ.
Yep.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. Bob Gibson, Hall of Famer. He won an MVP award, 2-time Cy Young Award winner, 9-time All-Star, 2-time World Series MVP. In 68 World Series, he had a 1.00 ERA, 3 complete games in that series. Unbelievable in the playoffs. 9 Gold Gloves. Guys, he hit 24 career home runs as a pitcher. That's impressive.
That's awesome.
Yeah. 251 wins. I would have bet my house he had 300, but that just goes to show you sometimes you don't need that magic number. He was just dominant. 291 ERA. 1968 season, he went 22-9. With a 1.12 ERA, which is still a modern-day record. How do you lose 9 games when you have a 1.12 ERA? I don't believe that. I still can't believe it. 9 losses? That's Jacob deGrom is right. That's a good point. They must have been terrible. That goes to show you how much he had to carry that team a little bit too, because if he's got 9 losses with that ERA, man, they must have been pretty bad. So 13th all-time with 56 career shutouts, 17 Ks in Game 1 of the 1968 World Series, which is also a record. One of the fiercest competitors of all time. The plate was his. He was fierce. Get off of it. He would hit you. He did not care. They actually lowered the mound because of him, guys. That's crazy to think that they dropped the mound because of him from 15 inches to 10 because of how dominant he was in the 68 season. He also played basketball when he was at Creighton in college, playing baseball, which is pretty cool to know. And he played 1 year for the Harlem Globetrotters, which is also really cool.
Wow.
That's
so amazing. He dominated the postseason, won 2 World Series, as Mitch said. He was 2-1 in the 64 World Series and 3-0 in the 67 World Series. 5 of his 6 World Series outings were complete games. Rest in peace to the legend Bob Gibson. Unbelievable career. Great dude. David, go for it, buddy.
Well, I was just going to say I discovered Bob Gibson. My dad had a box of baseball cards in the attic at my grandma's house. I didn't know existed, and one time found a Bob Gibson card. I didn't really know who he was. I was probably 12 years old. Got to reading stats off of it and just realized what a stud he was. And the more I read about him, he became honestly one of my favorite pitchers. And I read a really cool story that just sums up Bob Gibson. Bob Gibson's last pitch in the majors, he gave up a grand slam. I can't remember the guy's name. So several years later, he was playing in an old-timers game, and the guy that hit the grand slam comes up, and Gibson plunked him. That's what I'm talking about, man. Intimidator. So, like you said, rest in peace to Bob Gibson. I just love watching him pitch, watching old videos. Which what an intimidator he was. A lot of those old players would tell you, like you said, he owned the plate. He wasn't afraid to dust you. So huge Bob Gibson fan.
All right, so since we're on video here, I can show you this picture. I know it's probably a bad picture, but listen, look that up. That is pure baseball.
Yeah.
Yeah.
seam fastball. Look at that powdery mound, man. That's not the hard clay like they have now. You got the old cleats, the real stirrups.
Oh yeah.
That is that and look at you look at him pitching in those two big old holes. They do not let the holes get like that now. I mean, that's just pure real man baseball right there. That's what the game ought to be like. We in the name of safety, I know it's important, but we really the guys have it a lot easier now than the guys did back then, and I don't know. That's always good for the game, but that's just I love it, man. That picture right there, I love that picture.
Yeah, I'm with you.
One of the legends, man. A lot of people call him one of the greats. Like the guys who are our father's age, they grew up watching him, and they a lot of them stand by the fact he was the best pitcher of their era and one of the most intimidating by far of all time, with Randy Johnson as far as intimidation goes, and Nolan Ryan up there with those guys. So rest in peace to him. And guys, I just found this out yesterday, so I didn't really talk to you about it, but I don't know if you know who Sweet Lou Johnson is or was. He also passed away. Sweet Lou Johnson began his career with the Cubs in 1960. So it's kind of how I know him. He was a Cub player, and he also played with the Dodgers. He played again with the Cubs in 1968. He made his mark with the Dodgers in 1965, 66, and 67. His best season was 66 when he had 17 homers and 73 RBIs and batted .272. He is best known for blowing up in the playoffs in 1965 and helping the Dodgers to a World Series title. In the 7-game series, he had 8 hits, 3 runs, 2 bombs, 4 ribbies, and hit .296. In Game 7 of the series, this is crazy. In the 4th inning versus Jim Cott, who was an awesome pitcher, Johnson homered off him to left field for the game-winning homer in Game 7 of the 65 series. It's a really cool video off the left field foul pole. The Dodgers ended up getting one more run, and behind Sandy Koufax, who shut them completely out, won the 65 World Series. Johnson battled some drug demons in his life. He actually sold his 1965 World Series ring for cocaine, but he later sobered up and worked for the Dodgers for 40 years in the communication relations department. And he ended up being a good guy as far as delivering many speeches to players about staying out of drugs and how it ruined his career and did a lot of bad things to him. So he tried his hardest in those 40 years to make things right, to try to help the young Dodger players coming up stay out of drugs and stay out of all that kind of stuff. So tough week losing Bob Gibson and Sweet Lou Johnson, 65 World Series hero for the Dodgers. So guys, I'll transition here now. Mitch, I want you to know something here as we're about to, recap just a little bit more of the other series that we haven't gone over real quick. So we made our picks last week, and I just want it to be known that of the 8 series last week, I picked with a record of 6-2, and
Wow.
David picked with a record of 4-4. So we know who the expert is on this show. I just wanted you to know that, Mitch.
And I want to point out that David plays the same game I play with fantasy football, and that's where you always bet against your team. So, you see what I'm saying? So like I've become a Falcons fan, which is like pure misery. But what I do is I always pick up guys on my fantasy team that are going against the Falcons because I know they're going to give up like 1 million points, or the Falcons might actually win. So either way, I win. Typically that's in fantasy football because the Falcons give up like 1 million points. But I like the way David bet against himself because either the Yankees were going to win or his pick was going to be right, and that was really smart.
It's a win-win, buddy.
It's a win-win, dude. I like that.
Yeah.
I see your strategy there, but it didn't work. You were 500. I was 6-2, buddy. Just so you know that. I love you, man. All right, so Tampa Bay and the Blue Jays. This was a quick series as we predicted. The Rays are too good, man. I'm telling you, David, and I know you hate to hear this since they're playing them now, but props to the Blue Jays for just making the playoffs. That series was not even close.
No.
These Tampa Bay Rays, man, Kevin Kiermaier, I just love their guys. Like, the average baseball fan probably could not name 5 or 6 of their starters, to be honest with you, as far as their position guys go. You can always name their pitching is really deep, and it won the series for them, to be honest with you. These guys were just legit. Quick series was over before you could blink, really. They didn't put up too much of a fight. David, anything to add on this series?
Only thing I'll say is I saw a stat today. This may have come up. I don't remember it coming up in our podcast, but the Rays played 60 games regular season, just like everybody else except for the Cardinals. And Kevin Cash used 59 different lineups in 60 games.
Wow.
59 different lineups.
That's crazy.
They're super deep. They're going to be hard to beat, man. They really are. I know that I'm jumping the gun here, but I would pick against the Yankees again. They're getting ready to look like they're getting ready to win this game. Maybe they will. It's 4-3 going into the ninth inning. But this team is just so deep. It's just so deep. I don't know how the Yankees could beat them.
Mitch, got anything to add on that series?
Well, all these series we're looking at talk about that depth. There's no days off. So that depth is really going to matter. You get to game 4, game 5, that depth really comes into play. But the Yankees are doing exactly what they have to do, and that's win early, because it's going to be so hard to win late. But, yeah, that depth is something we'll probably talk about throughout all of these series. But the Yankees are doing exactly what they need to do, and that's win early.
Indians and Yankees we already talked about, so we'll move on to the Twins and the Astros, man. And all I got to say about this is the Twins just choke in the playoffs all the time, man. Unbelievably dominant regular season and cannot find a way to win in the playoffs. They just can't. It was not the Yankees this time, which I guess is a good thing, but they just couldn't win, couldn't beat the Astros. The Astros offense came a little bit alive, and I know you probably saw Carlos Correa talking a lot of junk about how they're so good and they don't need all that stuff, and stirring the pot even more as far as that stuff goes. And Astros are legit, man. We'll talk about it a little bit later too, but their offense came to life, and they made quick work of the Twins. It was really not even close. And David, I know you probably have to add about the Twins starting pitching you were not a fan of, so go ahead and talk about this series a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, you got to feel bad for the Twins, right? And you know who I really feel bad for is Nelson Cruz, because he showed up this series. If I'm not mistaken, he knocked in about all their runs.
Yep.
And, Nelson Cruz isn't getting any younger, man. But, we talked about it, DJ. Kenta Maeda is their number one starter. I'll repeat what I said last time. He couldn't even crack the Dodgers rotation. That doesn't mean he's a bad pitcher. He's not. But he's not an ace either. And so the Twins' strategy, I guess, going into this season was, hey, let's get a bunch of pretty good pitchers and just throw them all in there. Barrios is an ace. I would say he's an ace, or a number 2 at worst. But the rest of those guys are just kind of guys, man, and it's just not guys you want to ride into the playoffs. So I hate it for the Twins. I was kind of pulling for the Twins this year, to be honest with you.
Me too.
But they just kind of squandered their chance. And the Astros are good. The Astros are good. They still have those same guys. All of a sudden they are hitting. I'm not buying Carlos Correa, just to be honest with you. I think they're going to have a tougher time. No Garrett Cole, no Justin Verlander. Greinke is still good, but not great. So I don't think they're going to go real deep into the playoffs, but they were a tough draw for any team. They were a tough team to play.
Mitch?
Yeah, I don't know much about the A's, so I would need to learn more about them moving on. But yeah, the Twins, they've given up too many of their great starting pitching to be really effective in the playoffs. So I just that's kind of an interesting thing. The Astros, I can't stand the Astros now. So anyway, I don't know if we talked about this a whole lot, but I'm thinking about the A's I was kind of got to thinking about just the A's coming up. I don't know much about them. I just hope they smash the Astros.
All right, DJ will tell you all about the A's.
Yeah, here we go with the A's and the White Sox recap, man. This was an interesting series because both these teams, man, you know how I feel about it, but I'll give my spiel real quick. David, your manager of the year is already getting his head called for after a terrible, terrible display of throwing 9 pitchers in a decisive Game 3. Now, to his defense, Bob Melvin, his counterpart, used 8 pitchers, which he almost choked on this series too. Everyone here, like I said, is calling for him to be fired. Garrett Crochet got hurt in the second inning. He was only throwing 97, so they knew something was wrong. Must be nice. So they're worried about his form. Hopefully he doesn't need Tommy John, but, as everybody that throws 100, he probably will. This is why, they won't beat the Astros. You know, Bob Melvin's been there for a long time. I just don't feel it with their pitching. I don't think that they're going to hold up against the Astros. Astros offense is legit. So he took out Mike Fiers in the second inning after allowing one run. So he had the quick hook approach in game 3 too. This was a clown show in the third game. It was terrible. Both managers stunk. The A's just were a little bit better and ended up winning the series. The White Sox got off to a 1-0 lead in this and then blew the next two and were out just like that. So tough for them, man. Like you said, David, this is a young team as far as their offense goes. Got some young pitching. And I will stand by the fact that Michael Kopech, you cost the White Sox this season, buddy. You cost them this season. Shame on you. You were ready to go. You backed out. You chickened out in my mind. And they could have sure used you in game 3. I hope you can look your teammates square in the eye next season when you walk back in there because you did not deserve any respect after what you did this year. That's my feelings about it. David, what do you think?
DJ, how good is Lucas Giolito?
He's legit.
He had a perfect game, I believe, into the 6th inning or something like that. And, man, the White Sox, they just have an exciting team. I've talked about it. I know you're tired of hearing about it, but, you know, with Anderson and Moncada and Abreu and DJ, they finally played McCann a little bit more in this series, which I was happy to see. He's had a great year and basically had to play second fiddle behind Grandal this whole time. But anyway, the White Sox got a bright future. I'm not completely out on my A's, but I'm starting to waver a little bit, just to be honest with you. And they went with Bassett in game 1 versus the Astros. And, you know, Bassett, again, going back to the Twins argument, he's just not the guy you want to have to throw out there, you know, in a decisive game. And so all year I've kind of been banking on Luzardo and one of those young guys to really step up, and that hasn't happened. And this series with the Astros, man, it's going to be iffy. I don't know.
Mitch?
Okay, is it going to be weird with Mike Fiers and the Astros? I mean, is that going to – or is all that kind of –
Ooh, good one.
Is that going to be weird?
Good one.
I hope so.
I do too.
I hope it's real weird. I hope a couple guys get beaned.
Good point, Mitch. I like that one. I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, I was just curious how that's going to play out. But I agree with David that the A's, you're right. It's a Twins-looking team against you know, and then when you lose game 1 in a 5-game series to it, and you yeah, it's gonna be they're definitely climbing uphill at this point, for sure.
DJ, what do you think?
Yeah, they are. I mean, they got an uphill battle. I'm definitely thinking the Astros are a handful. So Dodgers and Brewers was also a very quick series. The Brewers just could not hang. And David, you had mentioned about you know, the starter I keep forgetting his name for the Brewers that was out for that series, and you had asked me last week if I thought he was going to be okay, and I thought he was, and he ended up not being okay, and that did not help them at all. He was a Cy Young candidate too, and you know, Burns was, and so it just hurt them big time. And Clayton Kershaw was dominant, 13 Ks in his outing. He was unbelievable. The Kershaw that we know and love. It's great to see him have a great pitching performance in the playoffs when teams don't know what's coming. So it's really cool to see that. Buehler had a problem with the blister in the first game, but I think he's got that fixed, and he's going to go in game 1. So this wasn't even close. The Dodgers were way – just blew them out of the water in 2 games. It was fast. They're going to be a team to be reckoned with. David?
Yeah, Dodgers are just so deep. And the poor Brewers, DJ, if you remember, we hated them in our preview. And so the fact that they made the playoffs, to me, is amazing because on paper it just didn't look that good. But here's the Brewers. I just read a headline today, DJ. They're going to cut payroll. They're going to cut payroll.
Really?
My gosh, man. Yeah, I just don't get it. With all the shared money and stuff that's out there now, and the Brewers making the playoffs, I guess, 3 or 4 straight years, whatever it is now. Spend some money, Milwaukee. My gosh, man, you've got some good players, and you don't have a good farm system. So, I mean, something's got to give here. But, yeah, the Brewers were just outclassed.
Mitch?
goes back to that depth again. The Dodgers are just so deep, like David was saying, and man, they're hard to battle. In a 3-game series. Well, imagine when you get into 5 games and 7 games, you don't have the off day. Man, the Dodgers are just really good. And I think once again, I think I mentioned this first time I was on. They're hungry. Like they feel like they've been robbed twice.
Yep.
And I think this is gonna be. I think that's gonna be the hardest team to play in the playoffs because they feel like they're not just playing for this year. They're playing. They're getting a monkey off their back they feel like they were cheated out of. So, and I agree. So they're gonna be a tough team. This whole deal. You're gonna have to go through the Dodgers to win the World Series.
Yeah, I could not agree more. So we talked about the Cubs and Marlins. We talked about the Braves and Reds. The last series we talked about Padres and Cardinals. This was a good one. This was a back and forth. This was one of the few that went 3 games. Tatis and Machado guys. Wow, They showed up in big time games, and that's what you want from your superstars. Tatis was a stud. 2 bombs in game 3, one to tie it, one to add on to the lead. Just unbelievable. I'm a big fan of his. I think he's going to be the MVP in a couple of years. He almost won it this year. Unbelievable. He had 5 ribbies in game 3. No Lamet, no Dinelson Lamet, and no Mike Clevenger in this series, and they still found a way to get by. So props to them, man. They're just finding ways to win. They're a very deep ball club. So I just was very impressed with their superstars stepping up, which is what you want out of your guys like that. So David, what do you think?
And DJ, the only team I think that can challenge the Dodgers is the Padres. They can match the star power. I was thinking about this coming down the road today. They got Machado, Tatis, and then they've got some other good players around them. Will Myers is having a nice season, and they've got good young pitching. If Clevenger and Lamet were completely healthy going into a series with the Dodgers, it would be a coin flip. I really believe that. But the Cardinals put up a good fight. They won that first game. They were up in the second game. And man, props to the Padres for coming all the way back.
Mitch?
Hey, did you guys talk about Tatis hitting the bomb late in the game, up 7, and the manager not backing him up? Did you guys ever address that?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, we brought that one up.
Okay. All right, so I didn't hear you on that one. So did y'all think the manager was full of crap or what was the consensus there?
Who whined about that was full of crap, we decided.
Okay. Yeah.
It's a 7-run game in the majors, Mitch. A 7-run game. I've seen teams come back from down 7.
Yeah. Like that's okay.
Get out of here.
Yeah, I think that I'm telling you, man, that right there is a big deal to me. Like, Tatis Jr. is so good, man, and like he's so electric. And the only thing that worries me about the Padres is like the Bush League stuff, like the manager. Man, if I'm managing, Tatis Jr., I'm like, if the umpire calls a ball straight down the middle, a strike, I'm like, no, he didn't swing, it was a ball. Like, yeah, that's how much I'm backing up my guy. I thought that was sorry. I think that's the kind of stuff that's going to hurt the Padres in years to come if they can't handle that better. You can't be loyal to your old team or your old buddies. You got to be loyal to your guys. I thought that stunk. That has nothing to do with the series. Just going back to that star power of Tatis and Machado, and they did show up, and that's really cool for the Padres because you don't pay those guys to be superstars during the regular season. You pay them to be superstars now. So really cool to see that. As much as I hate to see another, just superpower team out of the National Leagues that the Braves have to go through. Yeah, man, they're fun to watch. It's a good baseball team.
Mm-hmm. They sure are, man. And so this leads us to our final segment here. We will get to the preview of these 4 series we got coming up here.
DJ, look at your TV right now.
I see that, man. Oh, that's gone. Oh.
Yes.
Ian bomb, baby. Wow. That game is over.
Man.
This stable full of guys throwing 98 didn't work too well tonight.
Yep, nice T-shirt, guys.
Right here, baby. All right, so the first one, Astros and A's. We got McCullers and Bassett in game 1. And, David, you talked about it, man. Bassett doesn't do it for me. This Astros offense is on fire. I think they're going to carry the Astros to a win here. I'm going with the Astros. These guys have been there, man, and I think that has something to do with this. And the A's, to their credit, won their second postseason game in the second postseason series in the last 21 years. So props to them. But it's all over, David. The 2 seed will go down here. The Astros will derail the A's, and they made the Final Four in the American League. The A's. Just don't think that this team winning 90 games every year is they should be shooting for more. This is where they exit. I give them props for taking the White Sox out. Thank you so much for doing that for me, A's. But your road ends here. It's all over. The Astros will win. What do you think, David?
Yeah, I'm gonna just to be different from you. I'm gonna pull for the A's, but I can't deny anything you just said. I'll just leave it at that.
Mitch, who's your pick, buddy?
I think the Astros, man. I mean, you're right. They've been here before. This isn't new to them. And on some level, they're playing for more than just this year. They're playing to prove that the past few years weren't a pure fluke. So I do think those guys are going to play hard, and I think they're going to. And I just don't think the A's have the depth, especially pitching wise, to bring it home.
All right, so this transitioned us to the Yankees and Tampa this week. David, I'm sticking by my Yankees guns, man. Like we just said with the Astros, these guys have been there. This, to me, to be honest with you, is the best series of them all as far as competitiveness, as far as how close these teams should be, as far as, on paper, this is the matchup that, of the 4 that I think is the most intriguing. The Rays and the Yankees have become somewhat of rivals here since Boston's been so terrible. Looks like the Yankees are going to take game 1 here pretty easily. I'm going for them regardless as far as thinking that they're going to win it. I am pulling for the Rays. Don't get me wrong, David. But I think the Yankees pull this off and advance to the ALCS. What are your thoughts?
Well, if we'd have done this 4 hours ago, I would have told you that the Rays were going to win. So I guess I'm going to have to stick with that. The Rays, like we talked about, they're just so deep. They are just so deep. And the Yankees have had an up and down season. They're Jekyll and Hyde. You don't know who you're going to see. So before this game, I would have said that the Rays would have won.
Well, thank you for being honest, because I texted you guys that I was picking the Astros before the series started, to my defense.
I'm sticking with my picks. I'm sticking with them.
All right, good deal. Mitch, what do you got in this one?
Man, I feel like I need to roll the dice and say the Yankees. And I tell you, man, it's very hard. I watched the Braves be so great statistically through the year so many times, and then get in the playoffs and just suck. And I worry about that with the Rays, because when you play in New York, I feel like every game is a playoff game up there, And so, and they're kind of proving the point, over the past week. So I kind of got this feeling about the Yankees, man, that they're gonna beat the Rays here, and so I'm totally going with my gut here. I'm probably gonna be wrong, but I kind of hope I'm wrong, like DJ said. But man, they're kind of bringing a little October magic.
Oh yeah.
Yep, they're gonna be ready to go, man. It's definitely their American League to lose, in my opinion. So on to the National League, the Padres and the Dodgers. So Buehler's gonna start game 1, followed by Clayton Kershaw. The Padres not having Clevenger and Dinelson Lamet, who we'll find out in the morning whether or not they're going to be even on the roster and able to pitch. They're both hurting with elbows, which isn't good. Forearms, not good stuff for pitchers, obviously, to be messing with this time of year. So from that perspective, the Padres, man, I just don't think that they've got the pitching to hang with the Dodgers in a 5-game series, which is a little longer as you spread out a little more. Dodgers are the team to beat. These guys are loaded. Their offense is clicking. They made the Brewers look pretty bad, and I think that they keep rolling. I think that they blow past the Dodgers pretty easily with those 2 pitchers out. What do you think, David?
So, DJ, first of all, we lost your volume. Can you hear us okay?
Yep.
Okay, it's kind of weird. I think, Mitch, you noticed the same thing. His volume went down. But anyway, I agree with what you said. If the Padres have Clevenger and Lamet, I might pick the Padres, but they don't. Or if they do have them, that's going to be in a shortened capacity. So I got to stick with the Dodgers. They're just, as we talked about, they're just loaded. They're deep. They got great pitching, great hitting. They got star power. They got seasoned guys. So I'm going to go with the Dodgers.
Mitch?
Man, I have to go with the Dodgers too. I kind of like, no, go against the grain. But every time I've talked with you guys, I've been really big on the Dodgers. And I can't go away from that now. So yeah, man. So I have to stick, because I've said this for a while, man. The Dodgers are going to be so hard to beat. I mean, that's just the truth. So Dodgers it is.
All right, which leads us to our last one here, and that is the Braves and the Marlins. Can you guys hear me good?
Yep, I just got you back there a little bit.
Okay, so the Braves and the Marlins. He's already came out and named all three starters here, going Fried, Anderson, and Wright, game 1, 2, and 3. So he's already got his horses lined up and ready to go. And I just think that their offense keeps clicking. That lineup is sick. It really is. It's way better than the Marlins lineup. I'll just be honest with you. The Marlins do play the small ball game a little bit better here, but man, that Braves team is just loaded with offensive talent. I'm picking them by far. I'm going with the Braves. To be honest with you, this could be one of the quickest series as a 3-game series for the Braves, if not 4. But I'd be shocked if this went all 5 games. The Braves are going to beat them. What do you think, David?
I think this is going to be trickier than that. I think the Braves will win. They have the star power. They got the lineup. But the Braves starting pitching is iffy. Ian Anderson had a great start last time, but it's iffy. And the Marlins, they've got some young guns, man. So I think the Braves win, but I think it can be tricky.
Mitch?
Going all in on the Braves, boys. So, yeah. One thing that's really unique about the Braves is that you have pitchers that have the super deep – they have just such a deep bullpen, okay? And not only that, the bullpen hasn't been worn out for 162 games. Actually, only 62 games. So, as much as I want to say that – as much as I am nervous because, like any good sports fan would be, there's a lot of reason to feel like if there's any year that you can scrape by, with like two good starters, one starter you're not sure about, and then a whole plethora of bullpen arms, this might be the year. So, without the off days, it really changes things. I think you'll see somebody like Josh Tomlin in game 4. The fact that we're even considering a bullpen game in a possible game 4 is just hilarious. That you're talking about playoff baseball and you're going to throw a bullpen game out there like that. What in the world are we talking about? But that could be the reality that you have one of like speaking of your Devil Rays, your Tampa Bay Rays. There, you could have the closer begin a game for Atlanta. You could see that. So weird times we're living in. I think the Braves take it in 4, and I'm really excited about seeing them play. I do think the Marlins are much better than probably they get credit for nationally. I think we watch baseball enough. We know they're really good. I think most people don't. But they're a good ball team, and like David said, they have a lot of things that can go their way in a 5-game series.
Yep, that's very true. I agree with you. So it's going to be interesting here seeing how these series go this week. It's going to take us through the weekend, and I believe all the game 5s, if possible, are on Sunday. So then next week we'll roll into the AL and the NLCS 7-game series. Going to be a lot of fun to watch baseball this week. The 2 days that they didn't play, I was really missing. I was like, whoa, no baseball, this stinks. But we were back at it tonight, starting to back up. So with 2 really good games, and we're going to roll with 4 tomorrow, which is going to be a lot of fun. So baseball all day long tomorrow, starting from about 2 o'clock Eastern time, your guys' time, till about 9 o'clock Eastern when the Dodgers kick off. So it's going to be a lot of fun, guys. And if there's not anything else that you either want to add, then we will wrap up for the week and Anybody got anything else to add before we head out of here?
I just want to thank DJ for the off the wall baseball player reference of Ruben Sierra. It's awesome. I have not thought of Ruben Sierra in a long time. So the obscure baseball reference was awesome right there.
I still did. I slaughtered that Sierra for the Marlins, his first name. I know it. It just shows you. I don't even know who half those guys are. They got coming off the bench. I was like, what the heck, man? But that's what you're about to see, Mitch. You're about to see all these crazy name guys coming up there and playing against you. And I'm hoping you guys can get rid of them because I'm still mad from 2003 series with the Marlins, and it just got worse this week. So can't beat the stinking Marlins. But, oh well. David, as always, man, it's been a pleasure. Mitch, thanks for coming on with us again, man. This will not be your last time on here. As long as you want to keep coming on, we would love to have you. Man, we'll catch up with you down the line here to come back if you want to, for sure.
Absolutely.
It's awesome, man. You did a really good job. And, hey, good luck to your teams. I'm jumping on the Dodger bandwagon now. I'll be rooting for the Dodgers the rest of the way. So, with that being said, David, I'll take the TB off and put the LA back on, baby. And here we go, Dodgers. And let's go Dodgers the rest of this week. So, all right, guys, it's been fun. We'll talk to you guys soon. Thanks for everybody for listening.
Hey, thanks for having me on. Thank you, guys.